I'm Anthony Mongeluzo, and welcome to Built to Scale. Today, we're going to talk about businesses being overwhelmed by AI and why some businesses feel behind, and maybe they just aren't as behind as they think. So there's a lot of pressure. It's in your face every day. And if you're a business leader, I don't care if you're in technology, not in technology, if you're watching TV, if you're opening your web browser, AI is everywhere. And I do think it is a bit overwhelming. So let's start with perception versus reality. Number one thing that people think in their head, and the perception is everyone else is ahead of me. What I could tell you is this: I've been so unimpressed over the years with people that are selling AI. They come out, they do a presentation at your office, and look at all the great things that AI could do. And they show you a Zoom meeting where you're translating English to Spanish in real time. Okay, that's cool, but how many of us do that? So a lot of these folks, they think because they know how to prompt, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever your favorite flavor is, that they're experts, and then they run their mouths, and then they tell their peers how much they use AI, when in fact, they're probably using it to edit a marketing material or, send an email. They're not doing much with it. So don't always take the bait. The reality is that most businesses, especially those in the SMB, the small business market, they are still learning, they're experimenting, and realistically speaking, the way that they're consuming their AI is through the products that they use. We could go out and build a language model, but I also work with Kaseya. That's a multi-billion-dollar company that's working on it, that knows the industry, that has tens of thousands of MSPs. So I'm gonna use the AI right now to make the most sense, like our chat technician engine that superpowers our techs, and let's see where the industry goes. So we're adopting it, but even as a tech company, we still have to wait, because I think I have a great business, but I don't think I'm gonna beat Elon Musk. I don't think I'm gonna beat Google at this game. So I'm gonna stick to what I'm good at and leverage them and leverage the other technologies to put us and our business in the best position. Large companies, guess what? They have an uneven stack too. I mean, if you look at just the big companies, and I'm talking Fortune 500s, not the tech companies, we go inside some of them. Some of them aren't even using AI. So even they'll call it the battle of the billionaires or the battle of the trillionaire companies. Some of your more old school companies just simply aren't using it, or aren't using it to capacity as a tech company. So some of us small companies might actually be a little better off. Money and time and resources and people typically will win. So when the leadership there decides that they want to implement it more, this conversation should be deleted, because they became so big because of their processes, because of their structure, because of their people. So it's not really a matter of if, but it's a matter of when they all catch up. Another perception, right? There's hype and there's reality. And as we said earlier, a lot of people like to say they're further ahead. And I don't see an AI report card out there. I don't see an AI scorecard. I could come on this podcast and say, hey, my whole business is automated. All of our people do things. We use Meta glasses, so we see everything. The computers self-heal. And guess what? Someone listening might believe me. It's not true. But again, it's the hype versus the truth. And, there's only one company that you work for or that you own, and that's the one you need to care about. So again, if you're feeling behind, one, it doesn't necessarily mean you are behind. And two, if you are feeling behind, then guess what? It's time to do something about it. So where are businesses using AI today? Of course, I always got to start at home here, right? PCS, ticket routing, and ticket triage. Now, most businesses use some type of service ticket. So again, I'm sure you're benefiting from the same. All of our customers, us, and most of the world, whether you're using CrowdStrike, Huntress, really any flavor of these varieties, SentinelOne, threat detection, right? With AI now, they could do automated penetration testing that the insurance companies actually will consider as a valid form. Before AI, you'd have to pay a human 10, 20, 30, 100, $1 million, depending on the size of your organization and endpoints. AI is getting used by businesses for personalized customer outreach. You could set different metrics up in your systems. It could look at certain times of the year they made purchases. It could go through everything they did. I mean, I talked about it on Fox with Netflix. Everyone thinks Netflix is a streaming company. Netflix is an AI company. Netflix is so successful because based on your viewing patterns, it knows what you like and people like that recommendation. So it's the same thing with personalized customer outreach. Data cleanup and reporting, long ago, the days of joining all those database tables, coming up with complex reports that maybe you don't get right. AI has been so helpful in getting better analytics of your data. I mean, even today, we had a marketing sheet we were working on and we highlighted cells yellow that probably weren't a good fit for us to continue with. You run it through an AI tool, it added everything up for us. And again, we could have copied and pasted each cell or got a calculator out and yelled numbers. It did it in 4.5 seconds. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but AI is really helping people with content writing, drafting. You do have to be a little bit careful. Google will hit you on your website if it detects too much AI, so you want to keep that human element there. But it's also just good for, cleaning up your presentation a bit. And you could ask for recommendations. Hey, is this email too harsh? Am I too nice? Is this a friendly? Like, how would you interpret this? Are there any changes you would make? The other crazy one is, a lot of these hotels and across the board, I've actually listened to some of these, they're actually using AI agents to be assistants, so to speak. So you could call, let's say, your local plumbing company and pick up, hi, this is Anthony. Well, the AI will remember your voice, remember who you are. You won't realize that you're not talking to a human being. And it could do basic functions right now, like setting up your service call, taking a payment, things like that, and all with a friendly voice. So you can imagine what this is doing in, let's say, the hotel industry for booking rooms when calling. And I'm sure that's even a little bit slower anyway, because I can't remember the last time I called a hotel to book a room. I've gone to their website. So basically the bottom line is this, AI is a revolution, and it's an evolution that you buy and it's an evolution that you build. So part of the AI is, you got to buy it, you got to invest in it, but it's like buying a home gym, right? You could buy the best home gym in the world. If you're not using it, your body's getting no benefit. Okay, so let's talk about some small, high-impact AI wins. So first off, automating a single workflow. Guess what? Unlock you hours of time. I remember back in my day when I spent the time, it was a pain in the butt, and we're talking QuickBooks Desktop, made all these different rules, changed my life. Between that and the automated banking, when that all connected up, hours, not only hours of time if I did it perfectly, and then hours of time me trying to figure out my mistake, because I really, at the beginning, I had a team of 3, me, myself, and I, so I didn't really have much help. Email summaries and just summaries of documents. I'll give you a great example here. We had an RFP that we're responding to. The first was 58 pages. Then they updated the RFP to like 97 pages. Now we still had to go through it, but we just asked the AI to give us a summary of what were the major top 10 differences between the two documents. And that helped us. And while someone was reading the RFP, we were working on, the top priority things that were the changes that we need to make. Routine tasks, right? Become effortless. As you implement AI in your life, it becomes part of your routine, right? We all have a morning routine, we all have a bedtime routine, and our brains just don't think about it. Hopefully you get to that point where you get those routine tasks just running in AI. And again, time savings. Now, here's the best part. These small wins, when your teammate or your peer says, hey, wait, how are you getting this done so fast? How are you doing it? They're going to want to do it. And guess what? Just like a virus, that's probably a bad way to say it, but it's the truth. Just as the cold runs around the office, hopefully the adoption of AI does. So you have to realize too, right? I'm not telling you need to do everything with AI. You just need to do something with AI. And again, make it you. Customize the AI, and it can really work wonders for you. So let's talk about the danger of AI FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? A lot of times people just spend money to spend money. So they start buying tools and then no one uses it. But then they could tell their peer, hey, I have AI. Oh yeah, we subscribe to chat. Great. You're not using it. You could actually create, weird gaps in your IT if you're not using it and not monitoring it. We'll call it a little bit of a shadow IT, where maybe there's some unapproved apps on the network that can leave you vulnerable because they're not being used, they're not being updated. So those things aren't good. A lot of times too, you could mistake the speed of using the AI for strategy. You still got to use your brain and think. You still got to read the AI. You got to question the AI. Again, it's part the questioning, but people should be prompting AI that know the expected outcome, right? If I'm a computer guy, if I said, hey, what's the molecular structure for cancer? AI could tell me anything. I'm not going to have a clue. So again, you want to have the right people using the right AI for the right tasks. And you also want to be concerned, right? If you rush to adopt this technology, you're probably going to screw it up. So, you want to educate. You want to talk to other people that are doing it. You don't want to buy a tool just to say that you're in the game. And what you really need to realize is, AI is a journey, and we're at the beginning of the journey. Now, there's a few people, ahead of the curve, called the 5%ers, right? I think there's about 80%, 85% of businesses that are still just figuring this out. So, you're not going to be here, you're not going to be here, but if you're trying, you're going to be somewhere in the middle. Let's talk final takeaways and looking ahead. You're likely not behind, right? You're probably early in the process, but we're all early in the process, so don't feel too bad about yourself there. Strategy, it's always going to beat urgency every time. When we talk about our hacking and other stuff unrelated to AI, when hackers try to get you, they try to take care of the FUD, as we call it, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? So if you have urgency to do this, calm it down a little bit. Whether you take a week or a month, it's not going to affect the long term of your business. And lastly, AI becomes really powerful when leaders focus on clarity and what they want to accomplish over complexity. Simple is always better. If you could do something in 4 steps instead of 10, you win the game. So focus on the needs of your business, focus on the outcomes that are going to drive the most value, and I think you'll be very pleased with AI. So thank you all so much for tuning in to Build to Scale with me, Anthony Mongeluzo. We'll be back with more tech talk, more business talk, and more great entrepreneurs across the board. Thanks so much for tuning in.